the founder Titan, which Aaron also has.
Wait, he's got 2 different ones?
He's got 2 different ones in his body. But that's like
what?
Okay, I'm gonna get back to his father.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to our Attack on Titan podcast.
welcome to Attack on Laistrygonian.
His dad.
Podcast of Titan.
Yeah, podcast of Titan.
Welcome to Podcast of Titan.
Titan of Poseidon.
Titan of Oh no. Attack on Poseidon.
Yeah, right.
It's too late for this. It's not funny.
It's pretty funny.
Hello, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon, where we explore how ancient myths become modern pop culture by reading Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is Chapter 17, The Laistrygonians. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Hunters of Artemis, Darien and Smartt. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from Circe's Island, DJ.
How's everybody doing today? And I don't know if I'd say hailing from Circe's Island, because that implies I'm planning on going back. I escaped from Circe's Island.
I see.
She had me as a guinea pig for a little too long comfortably, and then she was wanting to send me to kindergarten classes, and I couldn't do it anymore, so
yeah.
I devised a plan and managed to get out.
Well, you look great for a guinea pig, so congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Nice. Well, before we get started, let's swing by the camp store to make sure we have everything we need. You know, DJ, before we started the podcast, I set up a Patreon page for the show because when I was studying how to start a podcast, it was recommended that you should have a Patreon early on in your show, so if anybody likes you enough and wants to support you, they can do so easy access.
Yes.
But when I did this, I never really thought anybody would truly want to give us money for this. Like, not that I didn't have faith in us, that just seems something you do for real podcasts, and I never really saw us as being anything more than fun.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that I do for just anybody, for sure. It's people that I think that I just like their content and just support them all the way. Yeah,
and so each time I get that email and the Podcast of Poseidon Gmail letting us know we have a new Patreon, it just is this surreal moment of we are that kind of show. We are that kind of show that someone likes enough and wants to support, and that's so cool. And DJ, they've done it again.
Oh, heck yeah. What's their name? Lay it on me.
We have not even just another patron, but a brand new true God tier level patron by the name of the Crystal Con Man.
Thank you so much, Crystal Con Man.
Thank you so much. They have joined at our highest tier, which means they are a Podcast of Poseidon producer level patron.
Means that, well, you get this shout out now, and your name will be said at the end of every episode as long as you're, at that tier.
Yeah, just like as we talked about Tim O'Connor. And DJ, I realized that I don't think we've ever actually told our listeners what they get from our Patreon. We just mentioned it exists.
Yeah, I don't think we have, actually.
Yeah, and so honestly, that just makes the patrons we have all the more incredible, because they were just like, I don't know what I get for supporting these nerds, but let's go. Let's find out.
So let's talk about that. So the first tier is just $1 a month, and it's called Toss a Drachma to Your Podcaster.
The Witcher had just came out when I created it.
Yeah, which is fair. That song is also a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you get our eternal thanks and access to our blooper reel. If you guys didn't know, we do a blooper reel.
Yes, every single main feed episode has stuff that doesn't make it in. Maybe it's a weird joke that we just went on a long time, or maybe it's a bizarre tangent, or maybe we talked about Attack on Titan just a little too long. All of that gets packaged in this adorable blooper reel that every patron starting at $1 and up gets every time there's an episode. And if you are someone who likes that but maybe wants a little bit more Podcast of Poseidon in their feed every week, there is our $5 tier, which is the Camp Counselor tier. And basically, that unlocks access to the exclusive patrons-only feed, fondly known as Bunker 9. And that feed gets a bonus episode every other week. So on off weeks, when there's not a Podcast of Poseidon episode, you still get to hear our lovely voices and wacky
Lovely
nonsense.
is a loose term. I'd say our fun personalities. That's what you get to hear.
Our fun, we've got a great personality.
You know, Davis, he slurs his R's a little bit, but that personality just really shines.
Really shines. Yes, and it'll shine every single week when you are a camp counselor, because you get the bonus episodes and they cover things that are tangentially related to the podcast, honestly.
Yeah. And I a lot of those bonus episodes I find are like sometimes a lot more fun to make than the main podcast, just because it's really just us sitting around and talking.
Yeah, it's a lot looser.
It's just a lot looser of topics and just a good time.
Yeah, and on that tier, you also will, in addition to our eternal thanks and the shout out on the podcast, you get an actual physical thank you note in the mail. When is the last time you have gotten mail? If you're one of our patrons, it was when you signed up to be a patron of Podcast Episode, because we sent you a thank you note.
Yes. And that thank you note is a lot of fun. We have commissioned one of our friends to do it.
Yeah, Cato Glasson, artist, former guest of the podcast.
And our next tier is Podcast Hero. And not only do you get access to the bonus episodes, our eternal thanks, you'll even get a physical note and the blooper reel, but you get to suggest what cabin I'm in.
Wait, what? What does that mean?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know, but it just says suggest a cabin, and I assume that's my cabin, right?
It gotta be your cabin. I don't have a cabin.
Yeah, you don't got a
I'm
cabin.
a hunter of Artemis.
Yeah, you get to do that, and you get access to our Remyth episode.
Davis, that sounds so interesting. What is that?
So our Remyth episodes is we take our first one was Hercules, and so we took like Disney's Hercules and talked about how well and how accurate they retold this myth and how well it stands today, and if it would stand very well back then. And those episodes are a lot of fun.
Yeah, basically we explore ancient myths and modern retellings outside of Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Yes.
And then that brings us to our highest tier, the true God tier. At this tier, you join the illustrious ranks of Tim O'Connor and the Crystal Conman. You get all of the perks we previously mentioned, and you get to pick what Remyth episode we will do next.
Yeah.
And all the patrons in this tier, you'll be randomly selected. The winner gets to pick the next Remyth episode, whatever topic it is. We'll talk about it. Yep. And then, as DJ said earlier, we will say your name at the end of every episode. But yeah, and that's our patron. And thank you to everyone who has supported us so far. It honestly does help. Like I said, we started this for fun. We started because I was going through a lot. DJ was going through a lot, and I just wanted to spend more time with my brother.
Yeah, definitely around the time that we started this, so we were just not doing too great in either way. I was trying to be a car salesman, which during COVID was just a fucking struggle, and it just felt like everybody else, aside from maybe 2 people, were against me at that place. So, that was fun.
And I had quit a long-term office job, and it was hard, and it was COVID, and it was scary, and I guess I personally just wanted to see my brother more often and wanted to talk about things that made me happy in a time that I just really wasn't happy. So, and to everyone who's a listener, even if you're not a patron, like, you're still helping us realize this thing, and so thank you so much for that.
Super incredible. Like, it's just barely managing to like pay for itself at this point, which is just awesome. Like,
that's really cool. It's really cool. But as much as I like love seeing, like, getting that email, hey, you have a new patron, I also love seeing the number of downloads that we get each week.
It's so cool to just see, like, oh wow, people, like, day one we get like 40 downloads, and like that's like, really cool that there were people just waiting for our episodes. Like, that's like awesome. 40
people. I know for a fact that I don't know personally all 40 of you.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm certain I don't know like 30 of them. Like, let's be real here.
So it's total strangers who like us, and wow, that's really cool. And I don't know, like, I don't know you personally, but I think of everyone who listens as my friend, because that's what friends do. They listen and support the things you work on. So,
and we do appreciate you guys so much.
yeah, so even if you're not a patron, even if you can't, and I understand that I listen to a lot of things that I can't support but still love.
Yeah.
Being a patron is really great, but it's not the only way to show you care about a show. And so just listening every week is amazing, and we thank you for that. And telling folks about us. Thank you to Tim O'Connor for tweeting about us and recommending us on Twitter. That's kick-ass.
And if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. Just a 5-star review. If you do like us, if you think we are 5-star, leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah, and let us know what you like. That'd be really super cool. That also helps the show a lot.
The next like 5 people to leave a review, we'll read it out in this camp store. We will.
I would love to read Hold on, let me see if we have any right now. All right, so we have several ratings. We currently only have 1 review. It is in fact from Kate, so
Wow.
So it half counts, but you know what? I still appreciate it, Kate. Babe, I love you. Thank you.
We do appreciate it so much. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to review, please leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
And definitely leave us a 5-star, because for whatever reason, it's only Apple Podcasts that allows for fucking leaving reviews and ratings.
Yeah, seriously. 5-star reviews. Here's the thing, though, is the algorithm on Apple, it only cares about 5-star review. So, yeah, if you don't want to sign your name on 5-star, I get it. Just don't leave a review. You're cool. No judgment here.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are waiting day 1, I feel like we're 5-star worthy.
I would like to think so. Again, I guess this camp store has gone on a lot longer than camp stores usually do, so if you didn't skip the whole thing, thanks. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Weird. I would have.
Awesome.
You're cooler than me.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys so much, and as we've said, we'd love to hear from you, so please tweet at us, leave us a review, just anything. We'd love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you. Just let us know and thank you for listening, whether you're a patron, whether you have suggested it to a friend, whether you just listen quietly on your commute every other week and just enjoy that time we spend together.
That's
Thank you.
That's the only time you ever do it, in that 10 to 30 minutes that you're just in the shower. I understand. I get it. I listen to shit in the shower.
So the episode lasts all week long.
Yeah, there you go. You get 1 episode, and it'll last you until the next episode. You know?
Exactly. 10 minutes episode. Our episode is long. Wow. But thank you all for making this show possible.
Podcast of Poseidon is made possible by viewers like you.
Thank you. Except they're not viewers, we're a non-visual medium.
Podcast of Poseidon is made possible by listeners like you.
Thank you. All right, yo. Now, on to the show. All right, so DJ, the Laistrygonians.
Yeah. Those guys. They're
Those guys.
cannonball-throwing cannibals.
Yes. For season 2, our big goal is to make sure we actually talk about the Percy Jackson books during episodes.
Yeah.
Hey, DJ, why don't you tell us all a little bit about the Laistrygonians from Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters?
Yeah, so, well, obviously they look like kids, fucking part of the mist.
Big dudes, though, right? Like, they look like they've been held back a few years.
Oh, yeah. They look like they've been held back a few years, and they were kind of bullies, and Percy obviously wasn't a big fan of that, and so he just knew he didn't like them. Now when it came, and then, Dodgeball Day came, and it was like the last day of school or something like that.
Yeah.
And they come out, and they reveal themselves, and they're these big, hairy, tattooed people. I almost said dudes, but there's like a girl in there.
Is there a girl in there?
Pretty sure there was a girl.
I think they talk about, like, one of the Laistrygonians has a tattoo that says, like, his name, loves baby cakes.
Maybe.
There should have been a lady Laistrygonian, to be honest, because I bet she would have fucked shit up.
Yeah, and then they just started heaving balls of, like, heated metal at Percy.
Yeah.
But Tyson comes out and reveals, Tyson's a Cyclops, and so he could just handle these balls, and so he just throws them back.
Fireproof.
Yeah,
I think it's something we forgot to mention in the episode is Cyclops are fireproof.
Cyclops are fireproof because they work at the forge. And they can breathe underwater because they're Poseidon's kids.
which is
Can
funny.
they breathe underwater?
Yeah, Tyson can breathe underwater.
I don't know if Tyson can breathe underwater.
Tyson works at Atlantis.
Right, but that doesn't mean there's not, like, a place
Except
for the
there's-
Cyclopses to do their work in.
Yeah, but we also see him, like, go into the sea a couple of times.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like, when he first goes, he walks out into the sea with his dad, which maybe maybe Poseidon's got, like, bubbles around him, but, like...
Mm-hmm. I know it would make sense if they could breathe underwater and are fire resistant. I like that. Those are two, like, conflicting skills, and I like the idea that Tyson has them.
But the Laistrygonians, yeah, they're just man-eating giants. But giants is also a loose term, because they do say 8 feet tall.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
from what we know of giants in the Percy Jackson world, that's, like...
Not giant.
Nothing. That's baby.
That's baby. They're baby. Yeah,
They're
they're baby cakes.
Man-eating giants are baby.
It is weird. Like, I mean, here's the thing. If I saw someone who was 8 feet tall, and I've never met anybody who's 8 feet tall, but that's, like, a reasonable... There are people who have been 8 feet tall or taller.
They are giants.
And I would be like,
But
you are a giant to me. But I wouldn't call them giants.
Yeah, it was a weird... Yeah, but, I mean, as far as I don't even think they show up in later books.
No, I think it's just here. They show up at
and
the
if they
beginning.
do show up, it's at the Battle of New York.
They may show up at the Battle of New York. That would make sense.
That's where they would show up if they show up again. But I don't remember them.
Yeah, they show up here briefly because they show up briefly in the Odyssey. And we're doing the Odyssey, so obviously the Laistrygonians are going to be here.
Yep, got to touch down on all the bases. Most of the bases.
And yeah, exactly. And it's weird because Percy mentions how he hasn't had any monster trouble over the past year. And later we find out it's because he's been kicking it with Tyson, who is a Cyclops, and other monsters are like, oh, buddy, let's
not fuck with the Cyclops.
We're not going to fuck with the Cyclops. It was super handy. But then the Laistrygonians show up on, like, the last day of school, right before Percy is set to go back to Camp Half-Blood. So you're kind of like, But it's also, okay, so this is something I just realized. Because at the beginning of the book...
because they were transfers. The Laistrygonians were transfers. They were probably one. I think I remember, like, there being one throughout the whole year that didn't fuck with him. And towards the end of the year, they got a couple of transfers. And they just kept hanging around this guy. And they turned out to be Laistrygonians. So obviously, it's the Laistrygonian calling for backup to deal with Tyson and Percy.
Really? Okay, because the guy who's been around is not a Laistrygonian. He's just a school bully.
Oh, yeah.
And the Laistrygonians, Percy realizes, you've got way more goons than usual, and I don't recognize any of these guys. And all the strangers turn out to be the Laistrygonians. Yeah, that would have made more sense. It was like, I need backup. But I almost wonder, because it is weird that, like, all of a sudden these monsters show up, like, hey, we found you, son of a sea god. We're going to kill you and eat you and all your friends. And he's like, I have one friend at this school. So you're going to starve.
Nobody fucking likes me because they think I'm weird, which is interesting because I'm, like, the most handsome guy here. But anyway.
He's also, like, 13, and you have no self-confidence when you're 13 years old. So... And he's like, low self-esteem, right? Like,
I don't know if Percy's all too low self-esteem. I think he's a little weird about his whole, like, Poseidon thing, but I don't think he's low self-esteem, is he?
I know. No, I think older Percy developed self-esteem, but I think young Percy, what we're seeing now in Lightning Thief and definitely Sea of Monsters, because he's, like, always down on, he's like, he doesn't think he's smart, he's got bad grades, he's kind of a fuck-up. Not his fault. Things happen to him, and he does not have the tools to deal with it as a child. But yeah, and he's like, I'm not good looking. Like, you're like a 13 years old Percy. It's okay. Everybody feels this way. It's not your fault. It'll get better. And then as he gets older, he becomes more confident because he gains, like, control over, like, his abilities and himself, and a little bit more control over, like, his life and the direction he wants it to go.
Mm-hmm.
But 13-year-old Percy is like, has no self-confidence. It's like, I get you, kid. 13 is hard.
Yeah. 13 was a rough year.
13 is a rough year. But I always thought it was... I was always interested, because it's not something they ever really explain in the book. Like, why all of these Laistrygonians show up on the last day of school to fuck with Percy. And I almost wonder if it was, if they were sent by Kronos, because that would make sense, intentionally to make sure Percy goes to Camp Half-Blood. Because at the beginning of the book, Sally's talking about how maybe he shouldn't go to Camp Half-Blood because maybe it's not safe. And if he didn't go, then he wouldn't go on the quest to get the fleece, to bring it back, to put it on Talia's tree, to turn her back into a human, to get her potentially under Kronos' control. So Percy had to get to Camp
Which we find out was just not a good fucking thing.
Not a great plan. Not a
like,
great plan.
Annabeth is sitting there like, you guys are incredibly alike. Now, would you do it? Fuck no. Then she's not going to do it. Okay.
Yeah, no. Luke cannot see other people's perspectives.
No, 100. He just can't.
He's very convinced that Talia will agree with me. It's like, nah, dog, I don't think she will. You did try to poison her.
Yeah.
So.
You did kind of fuck with her tree.
Yeah, that was kind of fucked. I mean, it was a plan, but also maybe what if somebody had failed?
Which I gotta say, it's weird that the tree still stands.
Right, because she was the tree.
She was the tree. She was turning the tree. It's not like she fertilized the tree. She was turned into the tree.
Yeah, she was the pine tree, and then it healed it because the pine tree was yes,
and it worked a little too well.
Yeah, it was Talia's spirit that was that created the magical barrier around Camp Half-Blood, because before her there was none. Like the monsters that were following them could have just gone straight into the camp. That was probably a problem a lot, which is like weird.
I bet they had like better defenses. I bet they
probably had to have like patrols
triremes and
barriers.
shit like that.
Yeah.
And like fucking like a ship that was just like out on constant patrol, and they would just like have shifts.
Right. So when it heals her, we should probably save all this for the Golden Fleece episode.
Right.
We'll stick a pin in that. We'll circle back at the end of season 2 and talk about all this. We're talking about the Laistrygonians. Yeah. So I think they were sent by Kronos to make sure Percy got his ass to Camp Half-Blood. Because it's like, hey buddy, New York's not safe for you either.
I could believe that with fucking Kronos being a manipulative asshole.
Very on brand. So yeah, and as you said, that was it for the Laistrygonians in this book. To our knowledge, you just went through all of them, so if you don't remember them off the top of your head, I'm gonna say they don't appear again, which tracks because they only appear very, very briefly in the actual Odyssey.
I believe it.
So yeah, the Laistrygonians make a brief appearance in Book 10.
Book 10?
That's like half. No, Book 10. It's not even the beginning. So they show at the beginning of this book. We're not going in any order here. Book 10.
There's no real order. The only order is, I think Polyphemus was the last one in the Odyssey.
No, because Polyphemus is the first one.
Oh, okay.
Because fucking with Polyphemus is what causes Odysseus to have to go on this long ass trek. So it's like reversed.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he gets mad. Because like Poseidon gets mad. She's like, that was my son.
Yeah, well, because it's not that.
Like.
Yeah, because well, he's mad because Poseidon gets mad because Odysseus is boasting about the shit. Not so much of what he did, but that he's being a dick about it afterwards, and he's like, I'm not gonna let that fly. How dare?
A human bested a fucking giant cyclops. I'd be boasting about that, and I'm not a boaster.
No, you're not though. You're very chill.
I'm like, holy shit! Did you see that? I lived an encounter with Polyphemus, and I blinded him at the same time. Like, this shit's incredible.
Remind me never to take a cruise with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can't.
What are you talking about? I'm sure, like, everything else I've talked about, Poseidon loves me.
Sure. No doubt. So in Book 10, which is called The Winds and the Witch, because a big part of that book is actually...
Cersei.
Yeah, it's Circe, and then also Odysseus' men opening up the bag of winds that they got from Aeolus.
Because Odysseus just didn't say, hey, it's a bag of winds, don't open it.
Yeah, they were literally like so close to Ithaca, they could see it, and then the dudes open the bag and it just blows.
We'll do it. And then it's like, as you see, it's halfway through the book, there's another they just tack on even more.
Yeah,
like, come on,
right?
man.
We're almost there, and okay, fuck it. So what happens, so they get blown crazy off course, and then they end up at Laistrygonia, which is a town of Telepaeus upon the cliff of Lamos. Essentially, this is like the first land they've seen since they've been blown off course. So they all the ships, because Odysseus isn't just like on one ship at this point. He's like with a fleet, right? It's his fleet. It's all of his men. He was like in charge of a whole like legion of warriors during not Ithaca, during the Iliad. Yeah. So all the ships like settle in this harbor of the island because they're gonna like, okay, we're in the harbor, we're gonna go check it out, we need some food, we need supplies, whatever. For some reason, Odysseus is like, I'm not gonna bring my ship into the harbor. I'm gonna hang out a little farther back on these rocks. Okay. guess he was the last ship in line, and there was no room. I don't know. So then it ends up working out for Odysseus, because everything works out for Odysseus and no one else.
Yeah. Essentially. I'm sure. How old was he when he started this trek? Does it say at the start, or can we just assume he's hero age of like 16 when he starts this whole fucking thing?
Well, he already had a son who was 10 years old when he went to go battle when he went to the Trojan War. So he was
30.
probably like in
30.
his 20s, maybe late 20s, early 30s, like hero. Yeah, hero age, but like he's done the heroic thing that earned him getting to go to the Trojan War, basically, I guess.
Yeah.
So Odysseus sends some of his crew to go investigate. Now, why doesn't Odysseus himself go? What a great question. I will now read from Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey to describe what happens next. They met a girl in the front of town, out fetching some water. She was heading to the fountain of Arcite, the whole town's water source. She was a strapping child of Antiphatus, the king of the Laistrygonians. They asked her about the king and the people of the country. She promptly took them to the high-roof palace of her own father. When they went inside, they found a woman, mountain high. They were appalled and shocked. Which, side note, rude, she's just a tall lady at this point. So.
Well, I mean, tall women aren't common to come by. There's still a lot of people out there that are shocked when a girl is over 6 foot.
Okay, I mean, I would say
If I see a
shocked is
girl
fine,
over, like-
especially mountain high. I would say it's not a problem for her to be shocked, like, whoa, what a tall lady. It's the appalled, like, how dare she be so tall.
I think appalled has a negative connotext to it.
Yes!
I think it's more like, here, let me look at the definition for appalled.
I think it perfectly describes how shitty these dudes were. They couldn't just be shocked at, whoa.
Really dismayed or horrified. Yeah, that's a little shitty.
Yeah.
I tried defending them. Whatever.
Yeah, I think they're just shitty dudes. Anyway, okay. So, the giantess at once summoned the king, her husband, from the council. He tried to kill my men. Grabbing one, he ate him up. The other two escaped, back to the ship. The king's shout boomed through the town. Hearing, the mighty Laistrygonians thronged from all sides, not human-like, but giants. With boulders bigger than a man could lift, they pelted us from the cliffs. We heard the dreadful uproar of ships being broken and dying men. They speared them like fish, a gruesome meal. While they were killing the men inside the harbor, I drew out my sword and cut the ropes that moored my dark-cheeked ship, and yelling to my men, I told them, row as fast as possible away from the danger. So I think we can be appalled after the first guy gets eaten, but maybe not just because the lady was the size of a mountain.
The lady was the size of a mountain. It says mountain high, right?
Yes.
These
folks are way taller than.
It doesn't matter what gender this person is. If they're mountain size, I'm still horrified.
Okay, see, I think I would just be shocked. I would save the horror for the cannibalism.
Yeah, I mean, like, someone is standing as tall as my fucking house. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
I'm scared. I'm scared of that person. Like, this person is standing way fucking tall. I'm scared. Immediately,
okay,
I'm intimidated by this person.
I think fear is still different from appall, because I think appall comes with a degree of disgust. I'm appalled by your behavior. I'm offended by it.
Well,
like shocked and
I'm just
afraid.
gonna go off
Okay,
of
man.
This greatly dismayed or horrified. I would be greatly dismayed or horrified if I see someone just fucking towering over everything.
All right, that's fair. Fair. Mountain high is pretty intense. Way higher than 8 feet, so I am wondering.
Yeah, way higher than 8 feet. Maybe we should have said like 12 to 20. 12.
I said 20. Yeah, maybe
12 is half is double the size of your average human male.
Yeah, 12 is pretty tall. If you're rock climbing and you fall from 12 feet, you better land right, or you're gonna have some problems.
Yeah. So, I'm just thinking like big enough to fit in this fucking gymnasium.
That's the thing, right? Okay, so I wonder if they were only 8 feet to fit in the gymnasium, but I think we could have also got, like, their hair brushed the roof of the gymnasium, and Percy's like, how did I not know they were this big? How are they getting through doorways? Maybe they only show up for the gym class. I don't know, but I do, what I like is that in the Odyssey, they throw boulders at the ships to sink them so they can, like, get the crew and eat them, which is horrifying. But Hey, dodgeball.
Dodgeball, let's go.
Dodgeball. It's
Big
water
fan of
dodgeball.
dodgeball.
It's water polo, but dodgeball.
Essentially. Except if you get hit by this ball, your ship crashes and you get eaten alive.
Yeah, so the stakes are maybe a little bit higher than your typical
If you got hit by the
dodgeball
flaming
game.
cannonball, then I guess you'd have gotten a hole in your stomach and eaten alive. So, just pick
there's
pick and choose.
Yeah, pick your poison. These are not dodgeball games I would want to be a part of. I actually don't want to play dodgeball to begin with. Even with the little colorful foamy balls. No, thank you. I don't have great throwing.
Neither.
I don't have great throwing.
Yeah.
No, I'm fast. I don't have great throwing. Or catching. I don't have great catching.
I could catch every now and again, but like that's also because like those balls can only go so fast.
Because they're foam.
Because they're foam and they curve and they go every which way because they're foam. They don't have any good aerodynamics or like puncture.
I would have definitely been on Percy's team because his team was full of all the kids that were not athletic. And in high school, I was not athletic.
It's a weird way to do things, gotta say.
Well, the bully is going to pick all the strong dudes, and Percy's nice.
Well, that's why you don't let the kids pick.
You don't. You just, all right, draw names out of a hat. Let's go.
My teachers would line us up as like, all right, you're one, you're
One,
two,
two,
one, two,
Yeah.
1, 2, or sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then like 1s and 2s go that way, 3s and 4s go that way, and shit like that. I'm like, or like whatever.
That's
I'm
better.
Like,
That is better. Yeah. Well, in this one, the gym teacher is so fucking hands off that he does not know the gym is being destroyed by giant cannibals.
It's also like the Mist.
Also the Mist, but like
Mist was probably working overtime. Like, let's be really real.
I think the dad had headphones in and was like reading a magazine. It's a very hands-off hippie school.
Yeah.
That Percy gets expelled from, not because he's blamed for the destruction of the gym, but the reason is they just like, he didn't have good energy. He didn't vibe with what we were going for.
His chakras were rancid.
His chakras are rancid. Oh no, what's the cure for rancid chakras?
Which sucks, because like that was like a school year that he was thriving at. He did pretty good. He did say, I was like, yeah, I was fucking loving this, and I was actually doing good in my classes. It was a bit of a hippie school, but it was a lot of fun. Like,
yeah, he had a little bit more like freedom.
Yeah. And then Annabeth starts tutoring him. He starts doing better every school.
Good.
I don't think it starts tutoring like immediately then, but like when Annabeth just starts like hanging around New York more often than San Francisco.
Yeah, that's good. So, I want to talk briefly about how in the book, when Annabeth shows up, right? Tyson and Percy are able to take out most of the Laistrygonians, but there's like one that almost gets Percy, and then Annabeth shows up and like stabs it through the back. Mm-hmm. And it bursts into like the smoke and the cloud and stuff, and Percy's like, okay, so they are monsters. Because weird giant children wouldn't die this way, so it's fine. You can kill them.
Like, because that blade fucking went into them and like hurt them. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, they died. And which is great. I love it, because then the school bully recognizes Annabeth from the picture that Percy had in his notebook, and he's like, oh my god, you're the girl. And then she punches him in the face. Lay off my friend. And I'm like, iconic.
It's super good. And like
super good.
Possibly the first moment when Annabeth starts to realize maybe not like
she
realizing herself, just like when it starts, you know?
Yeah. At the very least, she recognizes that she does not like seeing people pick on Percy.
Yeah. Which, understandably so. I'm not super stoked.
Understandable. It's your friend. I don't want to see that shit either.
It wasn't fun.
Exactly. So, because she's been running around in her invisible hat all day. So, while Annabeth's explaining, oh yeah, they're Laistrygonians, they're from, like, the far north, Odysseus, like, dealt with them briefly, and Percy, like me, is having a hard time pronouncing their names, so he asks, hey, what are they called in English?
Canadians.
So I'm a little, like, I'm not well versed on my international stereotypes from 2006. Why would it be a funny Canadian joke to say that Canadians are giant cannibals? That doesn't seem...
Well, it's probably just because they're from the far north.
Yeah, but I think the Canadian stereotype is like, they're just really nice and like hockey.
I mean, yeah, that's the Canadian stereotype, but it's not that they were stereotyping him. They're just saying where they're from, essentially.
No. She doesn't say they're from Canada. She says, what are they called in English? In English, you would call them Canadians.
I don't fucking know.
It's a weird, again, roundabout way to make.
They're just from the far north.
That would be, you just call Northerners or some shit like that. No, I'm gonna really focus on this for a minute because it seems like a really weird roundabout way to make a Canadian joke that doesn't make sense to me. If anybody remembers what the Canadian stereotypes were like from like 2006, 2007, someone like send us an email. PoseidonPod@gmail.com because I don't understand. Are you looking up Canadian stereotypes?
Why are the Laistrygonians Canadians?
Okay.
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay, there's a reason. Okay, go on, tell me.
It's not that. Oh, wait, what? God damn it. That's not what I was fucking asking. So, what the whole thing was like, in Sea of Neptune, or in Son of Neptune, Percy tells Frank that the Laistrygonians are Canadians. This is a reference to Annabeth. Like, this is not. I'm not asking that.
So, it does come up again, though. But Frank is Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand by the fact that I'm pretty sure it's just a weird roundabout Canadian joke because it's the one and only time Percy asks, what are they called in English?
Oh, it's literally what the name is translated from Latin to.
What? No, I don't believe you.
I don't believe that either, but...
That sounds like a lie.
Laistrygonian... I bet if I was to look up, like, the Latin alphabet, it might just come out like something's really close to it.
No. Yeah, I'm not finding anything that says it translates to Canadians. Yeah, that sounds made up. I think that's made up.
Yeah, I think it's made up too.
Because, like, here's the thing. Percy never has or again asks for an English version of what the creature is called because Percy can speak Greek.
Yeah.
He wouldn't need that. And if I can figure out how to pronounce Laistrygonian without much effort, I think Percy, who can speak Greek, or he can read it, right? He can speak it. If he can read it, why wouldn't he be able to speak it? Because Kronos is definitely speaking Greek. There's no way this motherfucker's speaking English. I'm gonna let you finish.
I can't fucking find anything on it.
Again, sounds made up. Weird Canadian joke from 2006. I don't stand by it. Not that one.
They posed as visitors from Detroit.
Yeah, so they don't even pretend they're from Canada.
Yeah. I have no idea. I registered it as Percy just like not really understanding, not hearing cannibal right because it's a fucking loud gymnasium with fireballs.
But they've already left the gymnasium at this point, right? They're like running to get a cab.
I have no idea.
That actually would make way more sense if she had said cannibal and he heard Canadian. I would actually believe that way more.
Yeah, like that's just mean Canadian.
Yeah, if he's like, surely I misheard the cannibal.
Yeah, but yeah, I can't defend that.
Okay, but maybe you can speak to this. Are the Laistrygonians giants? Like giants in term of Greek mythology?
In Greek mythology, if they stand mountain high, yes.
Yes.
Because if they only show up really in the Odyssey, and the only description we get is they stand mountain high, yeah, they're giants.
And are not human-like, but giant.
And then, like, the other, in these books and in Riordan's works of fiction, the only other times that he uses the word, like, giants as, like, oh, yeah, these guys are just giants, are either Jotuns from Magnus Chase, and those motherfuckers stand at 2,000 feet tall at, like, the tallest one we saw.
That's so tall. Oh, my God.
It's really tall.
Oh, no. And they wouldn't fit in the gymnasium.
No, they wouldn't. And then the ones that we see in, like, the mainline series, which is what I would equate to Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, and Trials. Yeah. We see them, and the tallest one out of, like, the giants, which is the big bad of the Heroes of Olympus, is not Hyperion. No, that's not it. That's a Titan. I don't remember his name.
I haven't read them in so long that I have no idea. But that's exactly what I was asking, because I know
because the tallest one out of all of them stand at 40 feet.
Okay, so not not nearly as tall as the Jotun
Yeah.
in the Norse stories, but 40 feet still way taller than 8 feet, though I would not call 40 feet mountain high. Like, you're as tall as a house.
I really think that it's just like right now, what he was writing at these times was more along the lines of conceivable and just like wanting to have the reader use their imagination effectively. Because for me, it's really hard to picture something being 2,000 feet tall.
It's really hard.
Like, that's a mile. That's almost a mile tall.
That's almost a mile tall. Here's the thing, though. I could climb a giant that's 40 feet tall. I climb walls that are taller than that on the regular, so I'm actually thinking about it, not impressed. I'm actually not impressed. If I could climb you, you're not a giant. All right, let's just get some belay. I got some ropes. Let's go.
I'd still say 40 feet. That's a tall giant.
I could lead climb a giant. I'm just saying.
But like the thing is, right? 40 feet's the tallest. But then every other giant's like 20 feet.
So is the thing that makes them giant, are they just tall, or do they have like, because they're the children of Gaia, right? Like that's
Gaia
the thing.
And Tartarus.
Gaia and Tartarus, yeah. So do they? I can't remember. Do they have powers like special elemental forces, or are they just real big?
No, yeah, they have special elemental forces. Yeah. Well, they're made to counter specific ones, right? So they have powers to counter it. There's I can't even remember half of their names. The one made to counter Poseidon's got. They poison shit. Like they're literally just like I touch water and it turns to poison.
Oh,
which is like that's a great fucking counter.
Scary. Yeah.
I keep wanting to say hyperbole. I know that's not fucking right.
Hyperbole. The giant hyperbole.
He
tended to exaggerate a little bit.
Yeah, right.
He said he was 60 feet tall, but he was really 40. Hyperbole is describing someone 8 foot tall as a giant. God, I hope that's what hyperbole is.
Polybides, the bane of Zeus, or Porphyrion. That's the bane of Zeus. He's the one. We don't, but like the problem, like the reason that you think that is because we don't see them use powers, fucking ever.
Interesting.
Essentially, which kind of
the
sucks.
Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one we do see use powers is Polybides, which is the bane of Poseidon. He just like does that, and then like after that, they're just fucking strong opponents.
They're just strong, yeah.
They're like really tough opponents that gods can't kill, nor like demigods, but like if they work together, haha.
Yeah. Okay, so in that case, because the Laistrygonians are crazy tall and they're clearly really strong, they can just chuck boulders.
Yeah.
So.
Except also, that's the problem, because then there was another giant that just Clytius. He just like absorbs all things. Like he's the fucking dark one, the black guy, the fucking really just like pitch black absorbing magic, fire, light, sound.
Just like a black hole.
Just a black hole of everything. I'm like, cool. But like we don't see anybody use any fucking powers. Aside from those two.
I have a lot of thoughts, and we will definitely discuss it when we get to Heroes of Olympus.
I know.
On that, but for now, Laistrygonians. So in my research, an account from Hesiod claimed that the Laistrygonians had, quote, sprung from Laistrygon, who was sprung from Laistrygonian, who was the son of the wide-reigning Poseidon. And supposedly, Laistrygonian was the son of Poseidon and Gaia, who, as we already discussed, birthed a bunch of giants. So
I guess that makes sense. And like, I mean, Poseidon birthed the Cyclops. Like, I guess it makes sense that they would make something a little bigger than Cyclops, but not quite as big as the giants.
Yeah, big, and the Laistrygonians aren't fireproof. They're throwing the bronze cannonballs, but when Tyson throws it back and they get hit, that actually hurts them. It doesn't really hurt Tyson, the fire.
Well, that's because Tyson catches it.
Right, because if you catch it, you're good. If it hits you, you're out.
Let's be real here.
It's dodgeball.
It's dodgeball, and well, like if you catch like anything, it hurts a lot less than if you get hit by it.
Mm-hmm.
So
should I call this episode "If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a Laistrygonian," or is that
we dodge a wrench, you can dodge a cannonball?
Yeah, but I have to have Laistrygonian in the title.
That's fair. Yeah. Make it to the Laistrygonians throw wrenches. Let's find out.
Let's find out. Oh no, that's so. Okay. Anyway.
Can you dodge a Laistrygonian wrench?
Can you dodge a Laistrygonian? Perfect. We found it. Okay. A little more on the, because this is not something that was mentioned in the Odyssey, obviously, like the ancestry of the Laistrygonian. They're just, holy shit, giants. And then they ate most of Odysseus' men because it was way easier to tell a story if there was just one ship we had to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So, that seems like just a way to streamline your characters.
Yeah.
But in some accounts, Laistragon, in addition to being like, you know, the father of the Laistrygonians, like this was like his lineage, he's also the father of someone named Telepora or Telepatra, who was sometimes written as the wife of King Aeolus, who was the keeper of the winds, who gave the bag of winds to Odysseus, that when said bag of winds was opened, blew them to the island of Laistrygonians.
It's a possibility she could have plotted it.
I don't know if she plotted it. It just seems like
it's just a coincidence.
That's just some like really like, oh, look at that tight storytelling. But simultaneously does sound like something that someone came with after the fact, just to be like, but wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if Aeolus was married?
Yeah. If King Aeolus' father-in-law,
because as we know,
was the ancestor of the Laistrygonians.
It's just a fucking hodgepodge of Greek mythology, and people just keep adding shit.
We say Homer. And I'm sure there are academics who disagree with me. On my brief, almost bachelor's degree knowledge of lore, there's no way this was just one dude sat down and like came up with all of it. Like it was so obvious. It's like Beowulf, right? There was oral tradition. Like, the first version of Beowulf was not the one that was originally being told. Like, someone came through and wrote that, and someone else also was a part of that writing process. Like, you have two different authors in Beowulf. You're not telling me there wasn't a bunch of dudes telling the story orally, just, like, a bunch of people, and, like...
I think Homer's the first one to, like, document it.
Yeah, because, like, the Homeric tradition was, like, it was what heavily influenced, like, the culture and values of like Hellenistic Greece and what became like those Homeric heroes, like those are our values. That's what we believe as a culture. I don't think Homer sat down and came up with all these stories.
Yeah,
he probably just got famous for like the Grimm brothers. They didn't come up with those; they collected them.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of dudes all telling a story, if you have a bunch of folk all telling a story, you're gonna have some things that are like, you got the bag of winds. Now you have the Laistrygonians. Well, we're gonna spend more time at Circe. Couldn't we have just gone directly to Circe? No. We had to get rid of most of these ships. Or someone had to explain. Or actually, no, here's what makes sense. Is that at some point in time, people were telling the story about Odysseus getting to Circe's island, and someone was like, wait, hold on. Didn't Odysseus have a big fleet of ships he was traveling with? And someone had to come up with a reason why that fleet from the Iliad was not there anymore. The Laistrygonians.
I can buy that.
That makes sense. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's podcast to Poseidon canon. So, unsurprising, you don't see Laistrygonians used a lot in modern pop culture because they're like barely used in the Odyssey.
Yeah, because they're just probably more along the lines of a throwaway monster.
Yeah, they're kind of a throwaway problem that just helped us get to the next point. But you know what you do see a lot in storytelling traditions around the world?
Man-eating giants?
Cannibalistic giants. Yeah. Like a lot? Like a lot, though.
A lot.
Like, it's not enough for them to be giants. They're like, if they're giants, they're almost always going to be cannibals, too. Like, consistently. Like, the one that comes to my head, like, when I was first thinking about this is the Jack and the Beanstalk story. Right?
Yeah.
You know, he gets, Jack's...
Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of a New York sun. I don't fucking know.
A New York sun? Wait.
It's fucking Percy Jackson. Just like up there like,
oh my god, that's so fucking funny. I didn't know you were telling a joke. I thought you were misquoting. Oh my god, that's so good. I'm astounded.
like I don't know the actual quote, so like when I stumbled there, I'm like, let's just roll with this.
New York City. No, it works well. So no, you're actually right. It's the story with like it was like originally published in 1734 was Jack Spriggins and the Enchanted Bean. And so when Jack gets to the top of the beanstalk and encounters like the giant, who also by the way in this early version had a wife who was like helping Jack.
Yeah, I do remember a wife. I do remember reading a story with a wife.
She
that
seems
was
chill.
Jack.
Yeah, not like the mountain high giantess in the Odyssey. Like this giant lady actually seems like she's pretty chill and is like over her husband's bullshit. But in this one, the quote is fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
Yeah.
So cannibals.
Cannibals. Another one that comes to mind of man-eating giants is like super popular right now is Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. Yeah, I have never watched it because
I don't blame you.
No, I can't with the eating.
I don't blame you.
I don't have a problem with general violence. I love Castlevania. Like, give me crazy animated violence. Yeah, I'm here for it.
For me, it just kind of depends on the violence.
Can't do the eating. No.
Eating for me, the eating is fine. It's whenever I like if I see limbs being ripped off. Mm-hmm. Not a big fan of that one. That one makes me queasy.
God, we're gonna have a lot of content warnings for this episode, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, Attack on Titan. Spoilers, if that's not already implied with our show at this point.
Yeah, we mentioned it. Titan. Better start skipping.
But it's. I mean, if you don't know anything about the show, it follows our protagonist Eren Yeager, and he goes around and like this whole kingdom is just like surrounded by walls because they're trying to keep these big old giants. And they call them Titans.
Yes.
Which is Attack on Titan.
Yeah. Maybe the episode should be called Attack on Laistrygonian.
Yeah, maybe. And it's just like and so like if the giants ever get in, then it's just a fucking bloodfest because they don't have a purpose other than to eat mankind. Mm-hmm. And then later we find out it's like, oh no, in an episode, oh shit, Eren got eaten. Oh no.
What? I don't know why I'm surprised. That's like Attack on Titan's thing. They're like, oh man, it's so sad. They kill main characters. It's like Game of Thrones. You know when it's okay. So I don't know why I was surprised to find out the protagonist died. Okay, go on.
He didn't die.
What?
So he's
That's a twist.
The way that he got eaten, right? He was like, he saves his buddy Armin from like getting eaten. Like Armin's like sliding down the throat, and he like goes in the mouth, holding the fucking jaw up, and grabs Armin and throws him out. And he's got his hand out, like reaching to Armin. Is like, hey man, just make sure you live and tell them like just fucking fight for us. And then like his arm gets chomped off, and he gets swallowed. And then the next episode we get to see like what was going through his head while he was eating, and he's just angry, you know. And he's just like reaching his fucking nub up to the fucking hole of the guy's stomach. And suddenly big ol' arm sprouts from this guy's mouth. And fucking Eren comes out as a giant.
What?
And dude,
How?
this guy's design.
What?
This guy's his giant design is the coolest fucking design for like any giant or a Titan in that fucking.
Is he the one with the long hair? Because I've seen long hair, shaggy hair giant.
Oh. Yeah, with like the fucking crazy ass mouth and like just the shredded fucking physique. Yeah.
Because they all look weird as hell, but that one actually looks kind of cool. None of them look cool except for that one.
Yeah. And so
they
like,
run weird?
They run super. They're like fucking, because their center of gravity
they don't
is
know
all
how to
super
control their muscles?
weird. Essentially, we do find out people turn into them.
I was about to ask if our protagonist turned into giant one. Does that mean all of these Titans are actually just like a guy?
They're all people, but not everybody has like control over what's going on. They're just mindless.
How does that happen?
We're getting into like serious spoiler. You know what? Fuck it.
I don't care anymore. I'm talking season 4, season 3 shit. This is like real ass spoiler territory. All right. Okay. So we find out obviously they're not really the only ones on this world. There are small islands.
Oh.
That they have been out. Like we find out that the king of this whole thing has control over these guys because it's a specific bloodline. And they wipe their memory of like 100 years past, but there were specific bloodlines that he couldn't control, and so like he kind of hunted them down, which is what Mikasa and Levi are. They're the Ackerman tribe. I can't remember how to pronounce it. But yeah, they're that, and they get like crazy bursts of power just every now and again, and like they can't like be controlled by the king. But like the rest of the world are essentially normal ass humans that do not like these people because these guys can turn into giants.
Is it everyone in the little Attack on Titan land, or
yes, yeah? So it's the.
Is that why they were all sent there?
Yeah, it's the specific race of people that throughout the rest of the world get segregated and treated like the Jews during the Holocaust.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Armband and everything.
Wow, okay. Yeah. That's a very anime
Marley, no, not Marley. Marley is the, what is it? The country of the place that we see most often that's not, damn it, I don't remember their fucking, like, race name. Hold on.
That's, okay, that seems like a weird comparison to make because, like, these folks turn into giants and can potentially actually eat and harm people, and that is actually a danger that needs to be addressed. Whereas Jewish people were victims.
Here's the thing about it.
Okay.
I'm also just trying to find the name of the race. There are only Eldians, and it's Eldia. Okay. So Eldia is they're subjects of Ymir, and Ymir is the founder Titan. There are only 9 people that can turn into Titans, and they all have a different purpose and a different name. Aaron's Titan is the Attack Titan, and is like essentially the strongest Titan in terms of like strength and raw power.
Okay.
But doesn't have any real ability, I guess one could say. That's opera. Hold on.
But can Aaron control himself when he's in that like massive Titan form?
That is what the 9 people. Yeah, and then he can turn back into it, and that's what the 9 people. And he gets like crazy regenerative properties. He grows both his limbs back.
Okay. So just so I understand. So there's a bunch of people that can turn into these Titans, but only 9 of them can actually control it.
Nobody can just turn into Titans. So what it is they, if they're inflicted by a certain formula, they just turn into a Titan. And then they won't be able to turn back unless they eat somebody with the Titan power.
What?
And if a guy that already has the Titan power eats somebody with another Titan power, they get the power of that Titan.
What kind of transitive property bullshit is this? Okay. Wow. I didn't know anything about Attack on Titan. I definitely was like, is that guy's dad is an evil scientist? Is that what it is? I don't know. I think
his
on the internet.
Oh. Get this. His dad was a guy. And also a big thing.
A guy.
Yeah, right. A big thing about these 9 Titans, once they get the power of the Titan, they will only live for 12 or 13 years. And
Holy
then
shit.
they'll die. And if it doesn't,
I bet that would.
Yeah, if they don't pass it on to somebody, it just goes to a random Eldian.
So it's a magic thing?
Essentially. It's a magic thing.
Okay.
And it's like a main
curse.
reason why people, a little bit, yeah, and like people don't fucking like it, call them devils and shit like that, and island devils and blah da da.
Okay, so most of these Eldians don't turn into Titans. They're just a person.
Most of them don't even know that that's what it is.
Most of them just didn't know that that's what it is because the king erased their memories for the past. From like
so they lost all their history.
Yeah, essentially.
They probably had a way to deal with it in the past.
Well, the thing is they ruled the world.
Yeah, you would.
Essentially,
I think.
they ruled the world. Essentially,
I think if you had 9 people that could just turn into titans, yeah.
Tech started to kind of advance, and so people like pushed them out and like just cast them to this island, and didn't fuck with them for a while. Until they realized the island was full of oil.
Oh shit! Oh shit! The island was full of oil. Oh shit!
The island is, okay, maybe it's not oil, but it's a specific. It's like a material.
It's unobtainium.
Essentially, and it's just, it's so dumb, but it's so funny because we get one of the evil Titan. He's the Beast Titan, and so he looks like a monkey because he's all furry and he's got the ability to throw. Like, I think
when you're 80 feet tall and incredibly strong, you have the, hey, if I was 80 feet tall and strong, I would be great at throwing.
Yeah, I think he's like,
by comparison,
17 meters tall. I think that's how tall the Beast Titan is.
All right, so for the Americans in the audience, 17 meters.
Yeah, 17 meters, or we take 17.
55 feet tall. So that makes the Titans bigger than the giants from Heroes of Olympus.
Yeah, bigger than the biggest Titan, or bigger than the biggest giant. And fun fact, there's a 50 meter or 60 meter tall Titan, and they call him the Colossal Titan.
As you would, I think, at that point.
So his whole thing is he's just fucking.
You said 60 meters?
Massive. 60 meters.
Oh my god. Okay, so 60 meters.
It's probably like 200 feet.
196 feet. God damn, DJ.
Let's go.
Nice.
I just took 60 times 3, then added a little onto it.
That's that's how you do it. I can't remember. I'm in statistics now, so I'll get better at math as these episodes progress.
But yeah, he's that, and so his whole thing is he's just the surprise attack, the nuke, essentially. Because when he comes out, big fucking heat wave starts up, and then like he's just a big ass Titan. The Titans like exude heat, essentially.
Yeah.
But like most of the time, like they got the fucking most of the time they just got like skin, and like they don't exude that much heat. But when like the Colossal Titan, he exudes so much heat it like boils, blisters, and burns.
Ooh.
It's pretty rough.
So so most of the Titans, when they can't control themselves, right? They're just a force of nature, essentially. Do they eat people because they know if they eat someone with a Titan gene, they'll turn back? Like, maybe not consciously knowing, but is that why they do it?
I have no idea.
Okay. Because that was
they don't like it, all they say about it is like they eat because they want to. They eat because that's all they know.
Okay, because just so I understand what you said earlier, you said that they can't turn back unless they eat someone who contains that Titan gene, and then they'll turn back into human.
Yeah.
So that would be why, like, they eat. It's all they know. Their instinct is to try to turn back.
Yeah, probably. Like,
if they don't have another goal, because I imagine if they're distracted by something, they're gonna go deal with whatever that shit is. But if they don't have something to focus on, they're just trying to turn back, even if they don't know it. Yeah. I had no idea. Wow, that's really interesting.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah. So do you think?
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. So if the Titans had shown up at Dodgeball, how well do you think Percy and Tyson would have handled that shit?
I don't think they would have played the dodgeball. I think they would have just stepped in.
Oh no, they are a lot bigger.
They are a lot taller. They wouldn't fit in that gym.
Yeah. I'm at a loss. I don't know.
The 15 meters, that's a 50-foot tall Titan.
That's a big boy. I don't know how tall your standard regulation middle school gym is, but like 50 feet seems pretty tall.
I think it's like up there.
That's like 5 stories. Okay, yeah, it's way bigger than a gymnasium.
Yeah.
It just burst out the roof.
Yeah. That concludes our segment on Attack on Titan.
Permanently.
As
I think it permanently concludes
Permanently.
this segment. We will not be revisiting Attack on Titan. Thank you for listening.
I'm pretty excited, though. It's the last season.
Yeah, I've heard. I think it's fair that the Laistrygonians are probably not an influence for the Titans.
I don't think they
Just
are.
based on it.
I think it's just man-eating giant. Because man-eating giant is just popular through every culture. Because even Jotuns are man-eating giants. Like,
Yes, Jotuns are man-eating giants. I had a really hard time researching stuff for this episode because whenever I was looking up man-eating giants, cannibalistic giants, like not pop culture, but like folklore, mythology, I kept getting just tons and tons of hits for this story of this like North American native tribe who had like part of their oral tradition. Let me see. The tribe is called the Paiutes, and part of their oral tradition includes a story about a race of giant red-headed cannibals called the Sitika, and forgive me if I've mispronounced that. And essentially, the part of the oral tradition is like they had a long war with these giants, and eventually the Paiutes trapped them in these caves, and when the Sitika wouldn't come out, they piled brush at the mouth of the cave and set it on fire, and that's how they wiped them all out. Yeah, right? Like,
holy fuck.
That's hardcore.
It's a pretty good fucking story, though.
Really good story. So they were annihilated. So the reason this particular story is so prevalent online is because many years ago archaeologists did, because they had the actual cave, Lovelock Cave. Like, this was the obviously that native people didn't call that cave Lovelock Cave. That was a colonizer name. But they knew that was the cave where this incident happened. When archaeologists went and investigated that cave, they did find evidence of human settlement in that cave. And there were some evidence, like sandals and stuff, that were like, hey, whoever lived in this cave was a lot taller than maybe you'd usually see. Ooh. And they also found, like, evidence they found human bone that had been split open in much the same way you split open animal bone to eat the marrow out of. Suggesting that not a lot of it, not enough to suggest that maybe cannibalism was a common practice among whoever lived in this cave, but maybe during times of, like, hardship, cannibalism was not off the menu.
Yeah.
As
to a lot
for
of
the
people,
redhead,
cannibalism's not off the menu.
Yeah, look, when times get tough, we all might find that cannibalism is a little higher on the menu than we'd like to think. But yeah,
I think we'll get to dogs and cats. I don't actually know if we'll get to dogs and cats before we eat people.
It depends. Is it my cat? Fuck you, I'll eat you first.
Yeah.
Those are my priorities. You can directly quote me on that one.
It's funny.
But yeah, so there's a lot of news stories that are like, oh, evidence of the giant cannibals from this folklore is real, and it's like, no, that's not it. But it was just I thought that was interesting too, because it's not enough for these people to have been giants or to have been cannibals,
maybe a
to have
little
been
taller than most, and they were just like sunburnt, which is why they were red-faced. You know,
red hair was the thing. They had red hair.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just thought it was interesting because that part of that giant thing is it's not enough for them just to be like, holy shit, that person's the size of a mountain. Not enough for them to, oh my god, they eat people. It had to be both, and you just see that so often. I just thought that was so interesting. I actually was like curious, like, why are they always cannibals? Is there like a theory in like folklore and mythology scholars, like, why are giants always cannibals? And I couldn't find much about that, but I did find,
because when you eat men, you become twice size as men.
You become twice size as men. What the fuck?
When you eat a guy, you gain his size, so you just grow.
Back to that transitive property thing. Okay.
And so when they get to so tall, it really doesn't matter what's another 6 feet. But at first, you're like, oh shit. And that's just how giants measure. It's just like, how many bodies have you eaten?
You gotta get more to be more impressive.
Becomes a dick measuring contest with how tall they are.
Oh no! Yeah, probably. Anyway, so I found this study published in 2000 in the American Society of Naturalists, and the study was called Dwarves and Giants, Cannibalism and Competition in Size-Structured Populations. The study was particularly on fish. And the idea is when fish are bigger, they tend to practice cannibalism more than small fish. And the reason is, one, they're bigger. At that point, there's like less competition or more competition in the space because there's a bunch of big fish and you're fighting for resources.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe that was like, oh, when you have giants, you have to eat people because you're running out of options. It's not like the giants in Skyrim that have like mammoths. Giants here, what would a giant act? Hey, is Clifford the Big Red Dog a cannibal?
We don't see it, but I will say, we never see that handicapped dog again.
Thank you for listening to Podcast of Poseidon. If you like our show.
Thank you guys so much.
Wait, are we really ending it on that note? Like, is that what we're doing?
I don't know. I thought you wanted to end on that.
I don't know. I did just want to leave the situation.
That's fair.
I don't have.
Do you have any more?
No, not really.
All right. Well, okay. Instead of ending on that, we'll end on a joke, right? I got a fun joke that I like telling people.
I'm leaning back.
It's what's green and has wheels?
Am I gonna have to cut this?
What's green and has wheels?
Am I gonna have to cut this?
Grass. I lied about the wheels.
Ah! Thanks for listening, everybody.
You guys have a wonderful night or day, whatever you're listening to this. It's great.
We should never record this late again. All right, hold on. All right, we'll be back on July 6th to talk about not this.
Not this.
Not this stuff. We're talking about not this.
Next time on Podcast of Poseidon, we talk about... I don't actually know what we talk about.
I think last time I mistakenly said that we would be talking about the Grey Sisters. I forgot that the Laistrygonians appeared. So next time, we'll probably be talking about the Grey Sisters.
Most likely. Unless, like, I don't think there was another fucking in-between the Laistrygonians and the Grey Sisters.
No, let me check. I actually have the schedule this time, and the Grey Sisters... Okay, so I would like to say that the episode will have less talk about cannibalism. I really can't make that promise, though, because we haven't recorded yet, and I haven't started the research. Yeah. Is it cannibalism if you're not eating creatures of your same species?
No.
So, like, are the Laistrygonians actually cannibals? Because they're not humans. They eat humans. They're man-eaters. But they're giants. They're different.
Aren't they, like, half human, though, since they're the sons of Laistrygonian?
But Laistrygonian is the son of potentially Poseidon and...
Well, yeah. But, like, who's their mom? If their mom doesn't have a name, I assume... No, Laistrygonian...
Oh, who did Laistrygonian hook up with? Okay.
Yeah, if there's no named mother, I assume that mom is human.
You know what? That's a good point. I think that's a safe bet in Greek mythology. Yeah. Cool. Okay, I just wanted to talk about cannibalism one more time and confirm that the Laistrygonians are in fact cannibals. Thank you all for listening so much. We really appreciate your ongoing support.
It's such an incredible thing.
After this episode, I'm going to say it is, in fact, such an incredible thing, and I'm almost wishing we had left Davis on Cersei's Island as a guinea pig.
Well, I'm not going back.
No, good. I wouldn't say, no, I know. I love you. I would never. All right, y'all. We'll be back on Tuesday, July 6th, and until next time, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Podcast of Poseidon is created and hosted by Darien and DJ Smartt. It's edited by Darien Smartt. The show is produced by Darien and DJ Smartt, as well as
Tim O'Connor, the Crystal Con Man. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain, and our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart. Like the show? Ready for more? Support Podcast of Poseidon on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Find out more at patreon.com/podcastofposeidon. Can't spare the drachmas? You can support the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or by sharing us with your friends. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com. Thanks for listening.